Hi guys. Let me see if I'm dulling down that light just a little bit where it's not quite so harsh. Everybody be able to hear me nice and clear. I've got the air conditioner going. It was nice and cool this morning, but still, it did warm up quite a bit, so therefore. Hope everybody's doing well. That fracking cat, good evening. Love the name. Tony Gilbert, hello there. Patriot Preacher, good evening. Jared Oliver, hello there. Tim Harper, hello there. Hello to Oklahoma. John Mercer, hello. Benjamin, hello there. Hola. Jeff Alexander, hello to Maryland. Jeff, hello to Newfoundland. Good morning to Austria. Awesome. Oskusti Outdoors, good evening. Smoke the Fat, howdy. Randy, Lackey, how will the skeeters be at the gathering? Usually, by then, they're not bad at all. It's in the spring when they're just horrible. But usually by this time of the year, they're kind of done. They're still there, but they've got their breeding kind of out of their system. And so they're not as aggressive and not nearly as many. So it's not bad at all now. James Singer, good evening. Danny, good day. How you doing? Kodak, good evening. Charles Nelson, good evening. Hello to New Jersey. 2020, how you doing? It's been a long, rough day. I had to start out real early, and then I had a funeral I had to go to, and we had a cat that's got a kidney stone. We had to take him yesterday to the doc, and they had to do stuff overnight, and so we had to get him at 5 o'clock today and rush him home, and it's been just a day, but hey, we're making headway bit by bit. Tim Smith, do you have a lot of deer ticks there? No. I don't recall ever getting a tick on me while at the lake. We've got real sandy soil there, and ticks don't like sandy soil so much. It's just not a thing with them, and so you may, but I have personally never had one on me, and I haven't had anybody at the events complain about ticks. So it's really a good place for that. Outdoors, hadn't caught a Thursday night in a while. Well, welcome back. Glad you made it. Will Rowell, good evening. Common Sense Karen, good evening. True. Something for the groundhogs. I got you. Yeah. Jesse, hello, brother. How you doing? Sorry I couldn't come up and see you at the gather thing, but I had a doctor's thing last Friday that I had to be for, and it was only 2 hours. I was like, can we reschedule this for, like, give me a day or two before, a day or two after, no, it's got to be then. We're getting, this machine is available in that window. Before, when I'd gone in, they kept me in it for like 6 hours back and forth, and this time I went in and they're like, and that was it. And then I went into I sat there for almost an hour waiting for the doctor to show up to talk to me. And then, so about 2 hours, we'll know the results. So I went out in the waiting room and just sat in the waiting room. And then finally it came back and they told me it was improvement in this, improvement in that, etc. But I'm going, I could have been on the road by now, but no, couldn't do it. So hopefully next year I'll get to go up there to the gather thing. It's a real pretty place up there in West Virginia, guys. Real pretty. And we've got my gathering coming up in October 15th through the 19th and at Geneva State Forest. So y'all ought to come and hang out with me. Cool. Put a laser on it so you can get the squirrels on the bird feeder. Number one Big Bear, thanks for dropping in. Tad Gallagher, how you doing? Tad, she goes with me occasionally, but usually if it's an away, nah. She camped me for 20-something years. She's had enough of it. She likes a little more comfort. And so she will come out and sit. And I have got her during the spring gathering to come out and spend a day or two in her hammock. So, but pretty much she just, I'd rather have air conditioning and internet. I'm like, okay, you know, I ain't got no problem. James, hello. Satchmo, good evening. Yeah, I bet Randy's cobbler was awesome. I have seen the new Henry revolvers. A friend of mine's got one, and I'm impressed with the quality of it. It looks really good. I hadn't got to shoot one, but I've been real impressed with the quality of it. Donald Gideon, hello there. TW, good evening. Craig, hello from New York. Will Moffett, yep, we're doing so far so good. Justin Coon, hello, brother. Glad you made it. Tim Pierce, glad that you're still on. Striker, hopefully I'll get to see you. Now, here's the game plan thus far. My gathering is in October 15th through the 19th. Then I'm going to be in Florida at the Rewild Outdoors. That's at Halloween. Then I'm going to go up to Georgia Bushcraft. That's in the 1st of November. So I'll be at all three of those, and there may be something else on the horizon. I don't know yet. We shall see. DJ, hello there. Oh, Patriot Pritchard, Blackberry Combo, good. John Mercer, look forward to seeing you. I talked to Grouch last week, and he was doing really, really good. He got some really good news from the doctor. He went in, and they looked at him, and he'd been thinking he was going to have to replace one of his knees. And it's really gotten him down because he can't get out and carry a rucksack on 5-mile marches anymore. That stopped about a year ago, and it's driving him nuts. He's like 88, okay? And the doctor went in and said, well, it wouldn't really be a big help to replace the knee, but we can inject this stuff into the knee, and it'll give you some padding, and that might help. He was, hoorah, do it, baby, light me up. I'm going back to walking. So now he's talking about once we get it a little bit cooler, like sometime October, maybe November, maybe something like that. Me and him going back to the cabin on his land and doing some stuff down there for a couple of days. I hope so. I look forward to that. William, hello from Missouri. Michigan Silverback, hello there. Jesse, don't worry. One day you'll make it. Dances with Empties. Hello to the Great White North. Farm Boy, good evening to Wisconsin. Tim Lacey. Paris, Tennessee, I hear you. Your uncle was supposed to be. I got you. I'm glad he wasn't. My sister worked, like I said, for Homeland. And she was just with the Pentagon back then before there was a Homeland. And she was in the turn lane to turn into the Pentagon when it hit. So. Annan, Blackie, did you know if you prime the nipple with powder, the gun won't go off? Yeah, you plug it up. There used to be a teeny tiny primer for the nipple for a percussion gun. But what you did was you took 4F and you put it in a wooden bowl and took a wooden spoon and ground it even finer to where it was dust. And you put just that much in it. I never found it to be an advantage. In fact, I found a better advantage. There used to be these wig pins. It was a straight pin about that long that made a T on the top. They come up and bent it to make a T. And that was my vent pick. It would fit perfectly down through a nipple. And so I would load the gun, especially for hunting. And then before I put the cap on, I'd run it down there and turn around and make sure that flash channel was all the way clear in the middle of that powder charge. And then I'd cap it. I never had an ignition problem with that. But priming it a little bit, no. I played with that back in those days, and we figured out half the time it'd jam up the gun. Michael Bray, cool. Enjoy talking revolvers. Oh yeah, bring your one win. I'll be glad to set it up with you, and we'll regulate it, see if it's the right length for you, and etc. And I've done that for several people. James, gonna make some sulfur matches. Cool. Jesse, old Grouch is my size. Well, he's more Santa Claus now. He'll hate me for that. But I'm here to tell you, when he was in his early 70s, and I was in my early 50s, I couldn't keep up with it. My pack would be half the weight of his, and I could not keep up with him. He was like a deer. He was just, and he was gone, And he is just tough. Yeah, he's old now. He's not in any great shape, blah, blah, blah. But I'm here to tell you, don't underestimate him. Oh, Mr. Johnny, what pouch do you use for your M40, and does Kaufman sell it? What I use is my Sparrowhawk side pouch. The M40 fits into it perfectly. Is what I do. I don't know right off the top of my head of a bag that would automatically take that in surplus. Definitely one of the Alice pack liners, but it's way overkill. And I don't know if it'll fit into the side pouch liner. Let's experiment. Nope, and that is a too big a one. I may have all of them already in the Alice pack up there. Well, I don't know right off the top of my head where my Alice side pouch liners would be. But what I use is my Sparrowhawk. And in fact, I designed that Sparrowhawk for it to fit into, give you plenty of room to put food under it on top of it, and it rolled down and hooked to the side of the pack. So that's what I use. Mine sell for 30, either 30 or 35. I don't know right off the top of my head. Look at my magic wall. Sparrowhawk, 35. That's what I sell them for. And they do a good job for that. And while we're at it, I'll charge my flashlight. Thank you for reminding me, because that thing's about on the last legs. I use it every night to go out and, have to check stuff, go get the mail, whatever at night if I'm going out. And I remember that thing's about to die last night. Okay, let me catch up. Gary, cool. Okay, the USMC sustainment pouch fits it and goes forward with spare room. Good. Tim Harper, hold on. When did you order it, Tim? When did you order your Sparrowhawk? So I know which month to go look in. When was it supposed to arrive? Striker, do you plan on being at the Pathfinder gathering next year? Yes, I am planning on being up there. I've been asked to be up there. So I'm going to see if I can do it. Ooh, boy. Do you know anyone on here tonight have knowledge or links on the French 1914 Belgian Congo Winchester 94? No, I do not. Steve Loopy, good evening. Outdoor, do you carry an EDC flashlight with you? Yes, this is the Olight, I believe it's called the Torch 2 is the name of it. It's that big. And it's rechargeable. It's got a battery. You can unscrew it and change out the battery. And it's got the charge on the bottom where you just plug it into a computer, whatever, a port, and it'll stay red until it's charged and then it turns green. And it has 3 power settings, and the highest is 1,000 lumens. So this has been my EDC carry for like 5 years. I've always got that in my pocket. And I have found tons of uses for that flashlight. I think it's June or July. Okay, let me look. All right, quick. Oh, bear with me. It wasn't in July. Oh no, I ain't finding it right off the top of the bat. Let me make a note of it, Tim, and I will get you one. Tim Harper. And that is, wait a minute, is that the October run? Tim Harper, there you are. You're down for October run. Yours are going to be coming real quick. They're ordered, and he's making them right now. So it will be coming soon. I know I remember seeing your name not that long ago. Okay. It's coming. Y'all saw my video. I'm having a fun time with PayPal, and money just went poof and disappeared. And you look down at the activity, and it doesn't say you refunded anybody. It doesn't say you paid anybody. Nothing. I had that money had been sitting there almost 2 months, and then one day it's there, and the next day it's gone. Why? And so I'm talking to them, and I got my account locked down right now, trying to find out what's going on. But we're gonna work it out, guys. I will get you. Yeah, but I will. Yours will be coming probably at the end of this month, because there's a very few in October, and I told him just lump it in with the September. And so, with any luck, like the last week or so of this month, 2 weeks or so from now, I should get it. And then as long as Kentucky will let it go, I'll get it to you. So it is coming. I do have you marked down. Annan, how do you pick the perfect camping site? First thing I do is I'm looking for weather. Is this a place that I want to breeze, or I'm trying to hide from a breeze like in winter? So I'll pick a site there. 2, what is the water and firewood availability? Have I got water close by? Have I got firewood close by? Next, widow makers. Are there any widow makers going to be a problem? If not, if those are all met, then I look for wildlife. Any tracks here to show that we got bears? This is where the cows run through, whatever. If all of that lines up, that's whenever I set up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my kukri, not even going to take my pack off. And I'm going to trim up the small stuff. That way, if I spot a problem I didn't realize, like, oh, up under this stump, we got a nest of rattlers. I don't want to be here. Then with me clearing and fully investigating the area, okay, it looks pretty good. Then I'm going to hang my pack up. Then I'm going to set up my camp, etc. And if you look at my advanced woodcraft series, I show you how I set up a camp fluidly, where it's almost like a dance routine to go from the pack, set up your tarp, set up the hammock, set up the other, and come back to your pack. And you can do it in 5, 6, 8 minutes, once you get it all rhythmed out. That's how I pick a site. When is the Georgia gathering? It won't be my gathering, but the Georgia gathering is the 1st of November, like 7, 8, something like that, November. Go look on the Georgia Bushcraft website, and they give you the exact title. I'm not teaching. I'm just going to hang out. Thanks, Jesse. Hope you have a good night, brother. Oh, on the Palmetto Trail. Cool. Good luck to you, SC Woodsman. South Carolina Woodsman, I'm guessing. St. Nick, how come my gun was half as powerful when it had been loaded for 6 months? Moisture had found a way in. Humidity had found a way in. If I leave one loaded long term, I bet that whenever I'm ready to take it out and shoot it, I'm going to change caps, if nothing else. Because usually the thing that goes weak is the caps rather than the actual main charge. And that's been my experience. And I have tried that where I've left it capped, and then I pull like 2 caps off, put 2 fresh caps, and I've shot the old caps first, bang, bang, and then I'll go to the new cap. Bam, bam, much more powerful. The caps go bad, and so that's the reason I'll replace the caps. Usually the powder will go right off. Tad, have you shipped all the latest haversack run? I've done all the run for August. It's in the mail or it's en route right now. The exception was the ones I got a refund, which are overseas. So the UK and New Zealand, I'm having to refund. The gentleman in Austria Said, I don't care if it costs extra, send it. So I went today and sent that one. But all those are en route right now that were supposed to be coming in for August. They're all out. They're en route, or they've already got there. September has not got to me yet. Jay had to go do the gather thing, and he's informed me that he's working on it right now. They're finishing it up, and it should ship today or tomorrow or Monday. And then it should be a week or so. But what happens is it leaves West Virginia, it goes to the holding place in Lexington, Kentucky, and it just sits there. And you can track every day, check your track, and it's still sitting in Lexington. I even called the postmaster in Lexington and said, what is the deal? Why does my package have to sit in Lexington for 2 weeks? You know, are you quarantining it because it came out of West Virginia or something? Oh, no, we don't do that. If you want to go back and let's check the dang dates, dude. And I've been raising enough stink. Maybe he'll get my stuff to me. We'll see. But as soon as it gets to me, it's coming out to you. I've had a hankering for a kit gun type revolver and 32 H&R mag. Any suggestions? I have fired a 32 mag, and I liked it, but I have not owned one, and I honestly can't give you a fair opinion. I believe that the Ruger GP101 was in the 32 mag, and that would be a very good choice, just for the reputation of the Ruger. But for something small and compact for a kit gun, it'd be a good one for that. That's about, to be honest, all I can tell you. St. Nick, you can store it for up to 2, 3, 4 years. I've stored them for that long because I had not, it was cleaned, it was loaded to go to the field. We didn't get to go, and it's got put in the gun case, and I've got other things going on. I didn't get around to it for up to a year, 2 years, and I just changed the cap and it fired, you know. So you can load them for long term. What's your favorite cap and ball revolver? Hard choice. I keep flittering back and forth between an 1860 and a 51 Navy. I love the look of a 51 Navy, and I like the punch of an 1860 Army. And a Sheriff, 1860 Army Sheriff, that's just about the perfect field gun for me. I don't have one right now. I had a double case set of them that I made up years ago, and I had to part with. Times got tough, and I'm thinking about getting another one. But other than that, 1860 Army or a 51 Navy. Patriot Preacher. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about, the 3-inch one. That 3-inch would have enough barrel to use, you know, be accurate. Gotcha. Tim Harper, you're on the August run. You're on the October run, and it's being lumped in. So this month it will be shipping to you. When that gets to me, it will have the September run, and those there's just a handful that for October, which you're in. You'll be shipping. I found you in my book. You're in October. I will go ahead and ship it this month as soon as I get it in. Yeah, that's probably what happened, Nick. Once it gets contaminated, it'll happen like that. Are there any black powder reproductions that you wish they would make? Maybe it's the Patterson again. I like the Patterson, but it's such a complex gun to take apart and put back together. I've never owned one. I've shot one, but I've never owned one. I wish they would make the Remington belt models, not the full size Army, but they were other size Remingtons. And today, all you've got is the full size Remington and the pocket Remington. There was one in between. I wish they would bring out that one in between, and like a 36. That would be a really nice. Yeah. Marvin Carpenter, you made it. That's cool. Right now, enjoy being out with the grandkids. That's the best of times. Let them explore. Francis, I'm glad you like my 1860. That's my recreation of Shiloh. I call it Shiloh. The one I had back when I was a teenager, a young teenager, and didn't get along real well with my stepmother, and it was kind of understood that it's just better if I'm not in the house. And so I built my own little camp back down in the woods behind the house, and I'd come in and I'd do my chores after school, and I'd get done. I'd go out the back door in the garage, and I'd pull that 1860 Army gun belt, put it on, and to the woods I went. And I'd come back like 10 o'clock at night to go get a shower and get in bed, get up next morning, go to school, and then repeat. And then on the weekends, when I left after dinner on Friday night, I wasn't coming back till Sunday night. I'll be in the woods down there. I'm 400 yards from the back door, but I was down in the woods, and I carried that gun all the time. And it got the nickname because my dad had come down there and found me. I was really sick, running a high fever. I think I had a bad case of flu, borderline pneumonia. And he was a big man. I was a little bitty thing. He carried me back to the house. And whenever we got to the back deck, my stepmother was standing there and said, "Where was he at?" And Daddy pointed and he said, "Shy and low. Shy of the creek, low on the right. Shy, low." So that became Shiloh Camp, and that gun got to be called, I got calling it Shiloh. So now I got my modern remake of my old gun is that one. So I call it Shiloh. Oh, okay. You got a leather maker making you a BSA canteen pouch. That sounds good. Oh yeah, and the Patterson, the Star, the Adams, the Euro, the the Adams look really good and interesting. Um, and like I said, several of the Euro Arms models were nice. The Star is interesting, but get the single action Star. Don't even look at the double action. Even Mike Bellevue talks about how they're just too finicky, too fragile in the double action. And that was they found back in those days. The Army said, "We like it. Can you make it a single action?" And so they had made the double action first, and they had to turn around and make it into single action to issue it. And I think as an issue gun in a single action, that Star would be interesting, especially being able to pull everything out the back. The Root, yeah, the Root revolver. There was a company back in the 70s that made a copy of the Root in 36, and but it never caught on. I know they made them. I've seen one, uh, personally held it, but I've never seen one for sale. Hello, Blakey. Do you have a good way to carry a hawk bill folding knife? Does it have a lanyard loop on it? Some of them do. If you do, you do like I carry mine. You put the lanyard on it. You push this up behind your belt and stick it in your pocket. And that way you just hook and pull it straight up and out. You know, quick and easy. And I remember, I don't think it was Old Timer. It may have been Schrade that made a hawk bill years ago that had that loop on. I remember a lot of the guys that worked vinyl tile and vinyl flooring carried hawk bill knives because they liked them for trimming excess and stuff like that. And so it might be something to look at. I wish they made gated 32 conversions for the 49 and 63. I agree. It would be a cool idea. You saw where Mike Bellevue just did his, taking a 60 Army Sheriff and turning it into a gated. I thought that was, you're not a 72 open top. You're actually a conversion that way, and it looks really good. But they ought to bring out one for those as well. But of course, the little bitty old Remington pocket, being a fixed frame, you just drop out the cylinder. That's where the originals did it. You just drop out the cylinder and reload it. Oh, speaking of this stuff, did y'all see in the I think it's Rifle Magazine now, Taylor and Company is now importing a 73 Winchester in 9mm, because the 9mm has really took off with the cowboy action guys, because you can get the ammo cheap, and you can drop a 9mm into a cylinder meant for it in a single action arm, and it works perfect, and the ejector will punch it out, so you can get a 50 round box of ammo cheap, a lot cheaper than 38 or 3.7 to be able to shoot. And now, so Taylor and Company has now got a 1873 Winchester copy, brand new manufacturer, that they're made to shoot 9mm. That looked real interesting especially for a farm gun or something. That'd be really cool. Tad Gallagher, yes. And you're on the list up here, because I believe yours went out real recent, or is going out. Hold on. Tad Gallagher, yours shipped on the 8th. You probably can't read that, but there it is. It shipped on the 8th. I always write down when it ships and blew it out. So yours is en route to you right now. Deho, glad you're enjoying it. And that's a good collection. The 58s, the 60. Excuse me. Haven't shot the 60 yet. Cool. And the 51 Navy. London. Good collection. Charles, they have not unfroze it yet. In fact, about 2 o'clock today, I was on the phone with the young lady up there. I got a contact number and a specific lady to talk to. And they're doing research to find out where my money went, because they're not seeing it on their end. They see where that money was there, and then it's not here. Where did the money go? Because there is no transaction of me doing it, nor is there anybody saying, hey, I want a refund and wanted it out. So where is it? But you got to remember, this is Deutsche Bank. It's Germany. PayPal is now based in Germany on Deutsche Bank. And so we're trying to work through all the things. She's working with me, but we still got it frozen until I can find out, because I'm not going to put money back in there and it go poof again. I can't afford that. So we got to work it out and find out what's going to happen. Buffalo boar from that silly guy. Don't know. Hardy Cimarron is a little more stickler for it. Steve Garvey, the guy that's in charge of it, has brought a lot of good models to the market because he has a really good reputation with Pieta and Uberti and etc. And so of the two, I would really think Cimarron, the fit and finish is going to be a little bit better. Just me. So, yeah, that Cimarron 38, 40, 10 millimeter. Yeah, and then you could also shoot 40 cal in it. Terry, check out Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They have all kinds of pouches and stuff for carrying knives and stuff in it. Check with them. They might have something. Andrew, good evening. Hello to Chris and Bob in Southwest Ohio. Thanks for dropping in. Tad, I'm glad you did. I hope you have many years of adventures with it. Yes, I have, Danny. I have seen one of those that has a comb blade. It literally was a comb. You could, back in the day, usually it was in the late 50s, you could get a pocket knife comb that would have, the main blade was a comb, and then the small blade was the actual knife blade. You know, I have seen one of those before. So, and they even made a switchblade comb at one point. But it could actually be a comb for doing your hair. Dance with Empty, cool. You got one of the smaller belt models of ring. Those are really great. Great little balance. I wish they'd bring that out. I really do. Yeah, that's a good advice, Terry. See if there's an area that's got shoe repair or does horse tack and stuff, and they could probably very easily make you a sheath for it, a belt pouch for it. Dalo, yep, the Lamat. Lamat looks so great, but if you ever load one with that loading lever, it's going to scare the snot out of you. It's going to just snap off. Uh, really, that's the weakness of that gun. Eddie, actually, I rolled over and filled some of the upcoming ones. But because those two that I couldn't ship, I rolled over to the September order and shipped. That's how Tad got his that I just showed that because I just rolled it over. So I'm sorry I don't have any extra right now to let go. But we will be doing another run. We will be doing it. Now, how I'm going to work out the payment, I don't know. It may be one of them things I tell you, just send me a money order, you know, that I've got 25 haversacks. I've got this many and this many. First come, first serve, blah, 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 blah. I'll write you down and then say, okay, send me a money order. And you've got so long, like 3 weeks to get me a money order. And then work it out that way. I can just hand my money off to Jay and then wait for you to pay me back, so to speak, for us to be able to get it. But we're not there yet. Let me see if I can get all this cleared up with PayPal so we can go back to it. Just hang in there. We're going to make something happen. Scott, yeah, the Open L makes really good edges. You can easily make a razor blade edge out of it. And if you're wanting that thin, especially for caping and fine boning and stuff, the Open L is a really good choice for that. So, yeah, they would be really good for that. I like the carbon steel blade. Some people like the stainless. Either way. But I definitely, I've used mine. And a lot of times the backup blade I carry in my haversack is a little bitty Open L because it is a good feel knife. Hardy, well, that's just it. Everybody needs one of the Walker or Dragoons, just for the big boy. Everybody needs an 1851. Everybody needs an 1860, and everybody needs a Remington. Once you've got those, and you'll find out your taste, whether you're a Remington man or a Colt man. I'm a Colt guy. I respect and I really like the Remington, but the one I have is actually the Sheriff model, and I've got that. I had a Spiller and Burr. I have since traded that off, and I have the Rogers and Spencer. That's a Dragoon. You know, I wish they'd go back to making the Rogers. I'd like them to make a Tucker and Sherrard again, the Confederate version. The Walker transitional gun, which is the one that goes between the Walker and the first model. It's got the Walker grip, so it's still got the cutout for the rounded top grip. But everything from there forward is the first model Dragoon. That is very similar to a Tucker and Sherrard. And so I'd like to see them make another Tucker and Sherrard, just for the having a Confederate gun to throw in, you know. Yes, the Lees are. That's what I run is Lee molds. They do a great job, and I've never had a problem with my Lee molds making me good, consistent ammunition. As long as I do my part, they do well. Hello, Steve Kingsbury. Oh, Eddie, you get to start deer hunting this early. It'll be next month for us. Middle of October is when we get to start small game and dove, and then next month we start bow season for deer, and then November begins gun season. So yeah, y'all getting to start already. Yeah, Leo, James Singer is correct. Lee is the one who physically makes the molds. And here's one of them little industry secrets. Lee makes just about everybody's molds. You know, if it's an aluminum mold, it's coming from Lee. So if it's a RCBS, it's coming from Lee. Lee makes them for RCBS. And I've been to the factory. I've seen it. You know, where they had this production line as RCBS, and this production line was Pacific, and this production line, because Lee was the best one at making the molds. And the hand molds that we use are kind of a side business. Lee's real money, his factory is making the big dies for the big industrial boys who's loading 9mm 45 like Winchester and Olin and Remington and Federal. That's where he really makes his money. The sideline making the molds for us is just a hobby on the side. You know, that's where he really makes his money. Yeah, the Walker is a lot of fun to shoot. I did a video you can go check out in the playlist where I talk about how to modify the loading latch to make it lock better. When you look at the lollipop spring coming down, it's got a rounded nub on it, kind of like that. Okay, I flat it, take a file and I flat it, and then that way when it goes up and the barrel comes down, it kind of locks in. And now when you grab the barrel, it won't automatically, the loading lever, it won't automatically pop off. You have to take your thumb and go back and push the little latch out of the way, and it'll lock it up where you don't automatically fire it, drop it every time you shoot. So, I had a buddy of mine make up one years ago for an antique, and he was a master machinist. So he took the loading lever, the actual lever, off, measured it, and got another type of metal. I don't know exactly. It wasn't aluminum. And made a loading lever that was half the weight, just as rigid, but half the weight, and put it back up there, and then it wouldn't fall down because the recoil didn't whip that heavy weight, see? So I told him you ought to market this. There'd be a lot of people buying them. Tad, I have not seen the new video on the 45 ACP ammo. And the Dance Brothers, yes, very nice gun. I hear you, Vail. I have a box of molds over here of all kinds, shapes and sizes. And we were poor, and so usually whenever you got a new gun, you start hunting a mold for it. You know, we'll use store-bought ammunition where we're hunting the big, heavy horns and the deep cover. But for plinking or learning the gun, it's going to be home cast, you know. Wade, I found lead in all kinds of places. One of the things I do is I go to my local gun range on an early Sunday morning, go out there. They got a concrete slab, and they got these steel plates that get knocked down, and it's just covered that deep in lead splatter, and I just rake up lead splatter. Or if you've got someplace that's a shooter supply, I used to get a 25-pound bag of bird shot and melt that, because one, the hardest thing to make is bird shot consistently. So I would find the end of season when they'd have deals like on number 6 or number 8 bird shot, and I'd buy 100 pounds, you know, 4 25-pound bags, and that's 100 pounds of lead, you know. So I could A, use it as shot, and B, I could put it in my lead pot and turn it into any other caliber I wanted. And so that's the way I worked it. Two guys in the Ozarks, hello there. Harold, hello there. Outdoor, good night. Thanks for dropping in. Chris Evans, yeah. Wash it really good. Okay, take it in there, put it in the sink, put hot water, put a drop of Dawn, wash it really good. Okay. Use hot water. Okay. Now, bring it off of there. I like to just simply leave it open, sit it in on like a, not the eye of the stove, but something like that. I'd put it in a pot and just sit it on the stove, and I'm heating the metal up to fully dry all the moisture out. I don't want any water on it. Okay. After it's had 5-10 minutes of that, there's no steam. It's obviously, there is no moisture left. It's 100% dry. Okay. Then I'm going to smoke it. And what I do is I take a little candle or something like that and smoke it and soot it up inside really good. It keeps the sides from wanting to stick together initially till they get a crust on them. Because new, clean made aluminum is kind of sticky, the easiest way to put it. And then once it has time to oxidize sufficiently, it gets a natural oxidation coating on it, and that makes it non-stick to itself. But I'll just soot it up black, you know. When it comes time to melt, I'll set it on top of the pot, let it become fully warm. You know, while I'm waiting for the lead to melt, I put that mold up there. I don't want any water anywhere because it'll explode, right? I do my first shot with it. I will pour the lead into it. I'll let it sit, knock it, throw it out. The first 10 I'm not even going to even look at. I'm letting the mold kind of work its way in. After 10, I'll then move over here to my catch box. And I have a wooden box that has cardboard in the bottom of it, heavy, thick cardboard. And I have a wooden mallet that I whack the cut thing. I cut that into the far corner up there. Walk. It's a square box. And then close to me up here, I open it up and I tap or let them fall out right here. So it's divided up. My sprues will be up here in the box, and back here in the back will be my round ball. And then I've got a long teaspoon that I specially marked so I don't ever confuse it. And I'll use it to, when I get a pretty good pile of the sprues up there, I'll pick them up and put them back into the pot. So I'm constantly recycling. That's the way I run it. There is a video coming up fairly soon on Saturdays for the Cap and Ball channel where I do an entire hour-long video on casting and talking about how to make your own bullets. So that one will be coming up real soon. Well, Trevor, I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I hope you're enjoying the little fire in suburbia. Chris Martin, that is being discussed and ironed out. Now, here in Alabama, we have open carry, we have constitutional carry already. So we don't need jack. You know, I still have a CCW, a CCP, because I go to other states. And when they first came out with that in Alabama like 3 years ago, and they said, oh, you don't need it anymore as of January 1, I went, okay. When I go to Ohio, will they be recognizing my constitutional carry in Ohio? Because I'm not an Ohio citizen. See, is it only in my state? And the sheriff looked at me and went, hell, I don't know. Wait a minute. And they went in there, started calling. And after about 20 minutes, he came back and said, we can't get an answer. I said, right. They still $15? Yeah, I'll take one. Until they completely say nationwide, we don't need nothing, I'm going to hang on to mine just in case. So I hope, but we shall see. Andrew, I have not seen any Lyman molds in a while. You may check their website. I actually think Lyman got bought out by somebody. So I don't know if they're still making any at all. Veho, correct. You take range 10 and just cook it long enough and the stuff will keep floating out, and then put wax in it, stir it up, light the fumes off, and keep all the impurities. And you can purify the lead the longer you cook it. Usually when I used to have a old propane cooker outside that was an old fish cooker, and I had this big heavy cast iron pot that I would put on top of it, and I would cook all my lead out there because it was outdoors, make sure a nice day with a little breeze. And I would make sure, and I would keep skimming and keep throwing wax in it and purifying every so often. And I'd let it cook probably 45 minutes to an hour to get all the impurities out of it. And then once I'd pour my bars, and the test was you'd pick up, once the bars, of course, cool, room temperature, and you can handle it. If you could take your thumbnail and scratch it, it was dead soft lead. And I would mark that for cap and ball. If I couldn't mark it, I'd mark that to go for my modern bullets, like my 44 Magnum, my 44 Special 357, 45 ACP. And so, but if a fingernail could cut it, it's dead soft. That's going for my muzzle over stuff. Just the way I did it. Patriot Preacher, thank you. Trevor, my gathering will be October 15th through the 19th at Geneva State Forest Lake. Will Rowell, good night. Patriot Preacher, I hear you. Zach, I'm glad you're enjoying your first cabin ball, and please feel welcome to ask any questions on my videos. I still go through as best I can. Every night I do at least 1 hour answering questions from all my videos, and I've got over 1,800 videos. And the other night I had a guy commenting on my very, very first video, and that was 16 years ago. And he was making a comment on that when he was watching that one. I go, wow, you are deep in the weeds. You done watched all the way back there. But I try to do my best to hit at least all the current ones and try to keep it up. Oh, two guys, you got to try a bow drill and hand drill. What'd you think? 30-30 and a 10-inch barrel for whitetail at say 60 to 80 yards, 150 grain. Go with the 30-30, 150 grain. The Revolution is a really good choice for this. But Remington also makes a hollow point. And so that kind of range, the hollow point would be really, really good in that. The 150 and the 180 grain, the main difference is how thick the jacket is. And so people, well, it hits harder. Yeah, but the jacket's thicker. And what that means is a whitetail down here in my south, a whitetail is only that thick. Now, up in Ohio and stuff like that, a whitetail's that thick. You know, it makes a difference. Because if you make the jacket thicker, it punches in further before it starts opening up. And so let's say it's 8 inches in before it opens up. Well, when the deer is only 12 inches across, you get a good exit wound. When the deer is 24 inches across, yeah, you want it to open up and go all the way through. So use the lighter weight bullet if you got the smaller, lighter deer, and use the heavier bullet if you're shooting moose, elk, or the big whitetail, something like that. If his body weight's over 500 pounds, go to the heavy bullet. If his body weight's under 200 pounds, definitely stay with the lighter 150 grain bullet. Have you ever shot a 50-95 Winchester? Nope. I have seen them, but I've never got to shoot one. Now, I've got to shoot a 76 and 45-75, and I've got to shoot an 1888 and 50 caliber Winchester. Was Winchester Special, whatever. It's where they took the Mondo's 50 caliber bullets and cut them in half and put it into it. And that one was an arm load. It was like shooting a 3-inch 12 gauge, but it ought to be awesome on elk. With Jared, you may be in luck. Blackie, will you ever offer the Nighthawk or Blackhawk in different colors? My niece makes the Red Hawk and the Blackbird in Cordura in colors. We recently had, in fact, nope, that's a bush hat. I'm about to say right back there's where I keep them. In a black, we called it the midnight one, and she's done it in gray. And she's talking about very soon bringing out the Nighthawk in on her in Cordura, and so she's going to do possible run in camo coming up. So we shall see. But yeah, she'll be making them in colors, you know. And so yes, there will be. Now everything coming from in the wax canvas is not going to be, it's always going to be the brown, because they just don't make that many colors in the wax canvas. See, and I want to keep it in that material. Whereas in the Cordura, she can get it in colors. So, and she may even offer it in colors, especially if you say, hey, I want a full set. I want the haversack, the rucksack, 2 side pouches, and I want them all in camo. She might do a run, do you one. So she's in the process right now. Be quiet. We're working out the details on the Cordura Nighthawk. And so you're going to see soon. As soon as I get the prototype and I get to look at it, we'll talk about it, and etc. But there may very shortly in the next month or so be we're doing a run of Corduras. So just hang loose. Wade, good night. Jared Oliver, yes, I have her information. Made Ready Gear on Facebook. There we go. At Made Ready Gear on Facebook. Go to that one. Her email is madereadygear@gmail.com. Tell her Uncle Blackie sent you and that you're willing to field test a new Cordura one. And let's see what happens, because we're talking. Not yet. We're not done, but you know, I love my nieces. I am very blessed with my nieces because Trinity is super awesome. And then my other niece, Heather, who gets the hats and gets the caps and gets all the other merch and stuff like that. And she's always coming up with something new. And I'm very, very lucky that they are just so supportive and they really enjoy doing this stuff. I scored both percussion Beretta 12 gauge. I asked about previously. It seems to be designed for competition skeet shooting, correct? Do you think it would be safe shooting double aught or slugs? Chris, how tight is the choke in it is the question. Okay. If it's got a choke, then you might get away with 00 buck. Slug would be, yeah, it will fire, but you end up hurting the choke. You know what I'm saying? The spring fluid still will open up and let it out to a point, but you're playing a roulette wheel to how long until something don't work right. So if it has no choke, yes, you can shoot buck or slug. If it has choke, and I do not remember, like I said, I remember it being a competition gun, and therefore it should have a choke in it. If it has screw-in chokes, which I've seen such a thing in a percussion gun, then yeah, you can change chokes and you'll be good to go. But yeah, it'll handle it. Yeah, Farrell, I've noticed that as well. You know, that they stopped carrying rifle ammo. My local one still got 22 and stuff, but they may be doing something behind the scenes. We shall see. RNS Outdoors, yes, she has the big 16 ounces now of the. She can do you either bullet butter or gun butter, either one you want. Just contact Miss Lita. We had this. We've had so many people contact wanting bigger because, like I said, there's a school up in the Midwest, and I am not allowed to say their official name, but they teach tactical shotgun. You know, they charge big money for tactical shotgun training, and they came and got a bunch of my 10s when I was in North Carolina up there because of me saying they'd clean guns, and they went. That was on. We got up there on Thursday. Friday they came out and they bought like 10 or 11 10s, and Saturday afternoon they came back and bought everything I had, and so they're really wanting. And then we got another school that they're doing tactical pistol type stuff where it's 40 cals and stuff like that, and they're using it. They're taking it and putting it on something to liquefy it like a candle warmer, and then using it like hoe peas, running it up and down the bore and everything, letting it sit 10 minutes and taking 90% of the fouling out like that. He said it cuts cleaning time down to 5 minutes, you know, and so they're using it. So they wanted bigger, like 16 ounces. One guy said, could I get a 5-gallon bucket? I don't care how much it costs. Like, wow. So yeah, we're trying to answer y'all want it. We'll try to do it. Panzer, good evening. Gray Wolf, oh, how'd it shoot? Jared, glad to help. Dance with Empty. Yeah, I did use our World War II gas mask bags. I've used them. I've used the musket bag. I've used a medic bag even one time. So I tried everything trying to find the best haversack for me. I went to the Goodwill. We didn't have a Goodwill. We had this thing in a church that people would donate, and there was this big old leather purse, and it had pockets like I wanted. And so I put a different strap on that thing, and I carried that purse with my double barrel shotgun for quite a while because it had the perfect pockets to put the cards in and the caps. And then here was where I had pre-measured charges of shot and powder. And yeah, it was a big old woman's purse that the flap, I kind of cut the top flap off and put another flap on it so it didn't look so much like a purse. But it worked. I mean, I've carried lots of stuff. Yeah, Gray Wolf, a Pieta frame, you birdie barrel, and an unknown cylinder. Okay. Panzer, anything you'd recommend for a Walker or a third mile Dragoon? As a hunting gun, if you're thinking about using it for hunting something like big hog, which it would have the power for, then I would recommend the Johnson and Dow bullet. Now, depends on how you have to load it. Okay, you may have to do some relieving, definitely on the Walker, to be able to do it. But the Johnson and Dow, because that the third model and the Walker has a high enough power capacity that they would take that to the ultimate performance, and it would be a very effective hunting close range. It's never going to be a long range thing, but if you're going to be shooting, say, 30, 40 yards, something like that, and you can place your shot, it'd be an excellent hunting with it. A 4082 or a 4590 neck down. Gray Wolf, I get you. You and Justin could keep the Sharps Buffalo Company running if we gave you both, let you both win the lottery. Two of y'all would try to resurrect a lot of them old cartridges. William, yes. A lot of us would take whatever we could get. There was it was a nail bag is what it was. It was about this wide, about that deep. And it was a nail bag that had 2 belt loops on the top of it. And it was to go on the side for roofers and stuff to be able to put like 2 or 3 boxes of roofing nails in it. Back in the days when you didn't have pneumatic and the guys had to run by hand. And we would take those and we would add a flap to the top of it and put a strap on it and make shooting bags out of it. We made them out of denim. We made them out of leather. We reworked anything we could find. The welding aprons that were split cow welding aprons, those got cut up and turned into a lot of bags. You know, I remember school bus riding home from school. It was pouring rain, and I was in 9th grade, and I was about a block from where the bus was to stop, and I saw sitting out by the curb this big old leather sofa. I mean, a nice leather sofa that had a bad tear on it, and they had thrown it out. It's sopping wet. I looked back up the road. Coming was the city truck that's going to pick it up with a claw and put it into the trailer. And I hollered for the bus driver to let me off here. And she said, what? She knew where I went. I said, I'm going to my aunt's house. Let me off here. Let me off here. And so she let me out in the driving rain. And I ran over with my pocket knife, and I carved out big hunks of leather out of that every cushion. I'm cutting out leather as the city truck pulled up. I said, you want me to throw the cushions in? He went, yeah. I took the front and back off the cushions, and I threw the cushions in, and he grabbed the thing. And, wait. And I ran around the back of it and took the back of it out. This was an expensive leather sofa, and I gutted that sucker to get that leather. And it was full grain leather, you know. And I don't know how many bags and holsters and stuff I made out of that stuff. Oh, possum mentality. You see it, you jump. Yeah, the 45-75, I've shot one of those. It was a very nice gun. Marco, hello to Ohio. Panzer, the Kerr is an excellent choice as well. It really is. And if you've already got the Kerr, go with it. Round ball will be your friend, and find what your lower target load is on them. My third model likes 25 grains and a round ball as a target load in it. And then it'll take a full 50, which I actually load about 48 grains is my heavy load. And if I'm going to be hunting with it, it's going to be loaded heavy. And Bear wants us to go out and look for hog this year when it gets cool. And I said, okay, if we're going to go for hog, he wants to tote a smoothbore trade gun. I said, okay, you tote the smoothbore long gun. I'll tote the third model Dragoon, which actually I don't. I have a transitional walker. And so I'll tote the Dragoon. And I'll put the Rogers and Spencer the backup just in case, you know. We'll see if we can get one. The goon says goodnight. Goodnight to you. No, I haven't tried those, Hardy. Oh, yeah, Charles. I've done that too. I have found a fire pit that had really good charred wood, and I put it into a tent or something. Come home, what you want to do is set it in the oven. Set the oven to its lowest setting, open it up, and just sit it in there. It won't reignite it, but it'll thoroughly dry it out. And so, leave it in there like an hour. If it starts smoking, turn it off. But that way, if that firewood got wet, it'll be fine. In fact, I know there's a video, but guys, it's probably from like 2010, where I was at a campsite and I took a log that had been rained on and put it up on top of the table and took my ferro rod and went and got it to catch and went to blowing on it. And I got the breeze going, and that log, which was about that big and about that long, charred coal black, went to glowing again, and I got the fan, and I got that whole log glowing, with doing that. So yes, it can be done if it's dry enough. So. Francis, correct. Getting out and whipping out that pocket knife and cutting up that leather couch. Waste not, want not. That was a lot of good leather sitting there. And that was the thing. When we wanted patching material to use in our muzzleloaders, we'd go down to Goodwill and find a sheet. One of them heavy sheets, something like that. We want to make a bedroll for living history. We'd find a comforter, sometimes, especially depending, around Christmas time, the ladies would get a new comforter for Christmas. The old one, which was kind of stained, and we won't go into how comforters get stains on them, would get thrown to the Goodwill. And we'd come in and there'd be a king size down comforter that would be like $12 sold to an American, and we would take that and use that in the dead of winter and put a cover on it. In my blankets, I've got this French military blanket that is huge, king size. It's not very thick. It's like a 1/4 inch thick, but it's such dense wool. It's waterproof. It'll bead water. And so we lay down, lay the comforter on top, get in it, and fold both over like a clamshell and tuck it on the ends. Man, it was better than any 5-star sleeping bag. Working on a Whitney Kennedy lever in 4060. Awesome. Hopefully in a year or two I'll get a whitetail and Alberta. That'd be awesome. Yeah, at one time Dixie Gun Works had a lot of parts for Whitney Kennedys, where they had like bought up some gun shops a lot. And in the Dixie Gun Works catalog, it said Whitney Kennedy parts, frames, barrels, most parts, contact us for many years. That was in. I don't know if they still do, but you may want to check with Dixie. They may have a part you're looking for. Ooh, Gray Wolf. 40 degrees there and expecting snow tomorrow. You lucky dog, you. It got down to 60 this morning. And I was sitting there with a coffee cup watching that dial, hoping it was going to break into the 5.9. But it didn't quite make it. And then it got up to like 87, 88 today. So, but yeah, we're getting there. It's supposed to be, everything's indicating it's going to be a good cold winter. So looking forward to it. Hardy, yeah. You look at the stuff they had available. Original haversacks from the cavalry. Original, McClellan riding saddles, that were original cavalry issue in the Civil War. They had them for $100 a piece. I got to go to Dixie Gun Works many times back in the 80s. My job when I was driving a truck, back in them days, we didn't have GPS. So you start here, you got to end up here by a certain time. If it was crossing, going into the plains or whatever, I'd find a way to go through Union City, Tennessee. And I'd go through Dixie, and I got to see a lot of the stuff they had up there that it just made me drool. They had such great stuff. Hardy, yeah. The old Bannerman's catalog. I've got one of those. And, $3 for an original Colt 51 Navy. $3 for original musket. Amazing what they had. K-Town. Watching this from Hayes Island. Cool, K-Town. We got just about 10 more minutes, and we're going to get out for the night. Would you recommend, are you Birdie or Pieta for a first percussion revolver? Zach, I would say the Pieta. The price is usually a little bit cheaper, and to be honest, in the last few years, the quality is just as good, if not better, with the Pieta. So I would say the Pieta. Oh, Hardy, if they ever invent a time machine, oh my God, I would be gone. Gray Wolf, my high school auto mechanics class found out that sitting on the Army base was a World War II Willys Jeep, that they had filled the main compartment with concrete and rigged it up as a weight to pick up and carry for helicopters, and that it was sitting unattended and had not been used in years and years and years on the backside of one of the ranges. And that the officer in charge of that range had said, get rid of it, sell it for scrap, just get rid of it. It's not on the books anymore, get rid of it. And so the high school, we went over and got that Jeep. And it was a complete Jeep. It's just literally they had poured the main body full of concrete. Not under the hood, but in the sitting part. Left the seats and all sitting there. They just put barriers in there and filled it full of concrete to make it weigh so much. And we got it, and we got the concrete out, busting it up with an air hammer and a jack. We got it out of the body, and then we took the body off and tipped it off and got the concrete to come on out. Of course, it ripped all the pads off the seat, but we put new seat pads. And we got that Jeep to running in about 3 months. and uh, the high school repaired and got that thing running, and then we raffled it off to somebody, a World War II Jeep. So you can still find stuff like that. James, I don't know. History of the Chuck Ruck before 1920 from DC Beard. Was it used before that? I don't know right off the top of my head, to be honest. K-Town, hope you're enjoying yourself. If I could step back in a time machine, where would I go? I would go with $1,000 to Oregon State, and I would go see a high school athletic coach up there who had just developed his own operating system for the then new computers. And I would pay him $1,000 for it. And once I had that paper in my hand, I want to be there about 1 hour before Bill Gates walks up to pay him $500 for that operating system, because that became Windows. And I would tell him, I'll sell it to you, but what I want a cut of the profits. That's what I'd do. Oh my God. What's an original Spiller and Burr in any condition worth down there? Ridiculous. They are rare of rare. And if you can find one, I mean, I've talked about, I had one back in the day. And today you're talking at least 10, 15,000, maybe 25,000 to the right collector. But that is one of the unicorns. If you can find one, if you could find the missing Luger, there is a 45 ACP Luger that was made for the Army trials when we eventually adopted the 1911, but they wanted 45 ACP, and so Herr Luger handmade two and sent them to the trials. One of them is in a museum. We know about it. The other one, we don't know where it went. That would be an extreme price gun. And another time traveler, if I go back to Colt's factory and say I want a cased Walker, because there was only like 4 ever made. I want a cased Walker. Yeah, that would be worth a chunk of change. Correct, DOS. And then that turned into Windows. Yeah, but when Bill Gates sold the idea to IBM, he didn't own it and he didn't have an operating system. But he got a contract to create an operating system and a big hunk of money, and then they went looking, and it was that high school athletic coach that when they saw his system, that DOS system, they went, yeah. And so they gave him $500 for that, and he was tickled to death for that. And that became DOS, which became Windows. So, yeah. If you could only be in the right place at the right time. Well, guys, that's an hour and a half, and I have really enjoyed this. I always look forward to this. I will be here next Thursday night. Thank you so much for all the comments. I greatly appreciate it. And when I have an update that I get my PayPal account cleared so I can take orders again, I will come tell you guys. I'll do a video on it. There will be a cap and ball video of some kind coming Saturday. There is a video coming tomorrow where I'm doing a silver wolf, and I'm talking to you guys about Saber of Japan pocket knives, because people ask me about the pocket knives, getting them off of eBay. They're a great investment if you want an old traditional pocket knife that's got a good carbon steel blade in it. They're not expensive. They're really good. And also talk a little bit about lanyards. And then I've got the next installment of the Master Woodsman series will be coming this Sunday. So till next Thursday night, thank you guys so much. I hope that the week goes well for you. I hope everything gets better for you. God bless. Until next time, safe journeys, guys.